All right, Psalm 9, let's call this one For Justice in this chapter, in which David is going to tell us why God has established his throne. And moreover, he's going to do that using two statements. One, I praise God because, and therefore you all should praise God because. And it's going to basically say David praises God because he has delivered him from enemies that were too mighty for him. But as we mentioned before, God did not simply defend David because David was his favorite. He defended David in his just cause against an enemy that God put to a total end. In contrast, though, David is going to say that God exists on an eternal throne established for justice. Thus, the title we chose for this chapter, a throne that God not only established for justice, but from which he rules with righteousness and uprightness. As it says, he provides a stronghold for the oppressed, as we alluded to or mentioned in the last chapter, the discussion for chapter 8. And even though it does not literally say that it is for this reason, it is going to seem to be for this reason that David is going to call on others to praise God as well, because he avenges wrongs and he remembers the afflicted. And moreover, he is a God who allows the nations to fall into the pits that they have dug, to be ensnared in the nets that they have laid out, and for the wicked to be consumed in the works of their own hands. As David, a man who spent a prolonged period in affliction for the things he actually did well, encourages us to remember that the poor will not always perish and the needy will not always be afflicted. God has that on the clock in the same way that he has the people who persecute them on the clock. As David will go on to conclude in this chapter, God arise, please, to remind those who are in positions of power, who are misusing their power, that they are just men. Going back to what we saw in chapter 8, where we said that even though we as mankind sit as a kind of middle management in God's creation, we have ambitions for more, too often seeking to replace God and create for ourselves little kingdoms in which, if we're not careful, we will begin to believe that we actually are God because of the ways in which our authority can go unchecked.